Welcome to the Pivot Experience podcast, where leadership transformation isn't just a concept, it's a journey we take together. This is where real leaders share real stories about the moments that changed everything. In each episode, we dive deep into the pivotal experiences that transformed good leaders into great ones. Whether you're a seasoned executive, a rising star in your organization, or someone ready to take that next big step in your leadership journey, you're in the right place. Get ready to learn, grow, and maybe even find that spark that ignites your own leadership pivot. This is the Pivot Experience podcast, where your next breakthrough starts here.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your friend, Pastor John R. Adolph from the Antioch Church in Beaumont, Texas. Hey, listen, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe this channel so you can continue to pivot into your next.
What's up and what's happening, TPE family? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our aim and goal is to help leaders pivot into their next. My name is Alexandrew Seale, and I've had the joy and the pleasure for working for the world's most caring company for the last 23 years. And over that period of time, I've had a chance to learn a lot of great things, learn about business, learn about helping and leading other people. And through those experiences, we have developed this company called TPE. And I'm not doing this alone. I have the opportunity to work with some really great coaches. And actually, on today's episode, this is a special episode where we're going to be all recording together. As you guys may recall, we did this several months ago, and I really enjoyed the episode, and I really enjoyed the conversation. And so we decided to do it again. And I'm going to open up the floor for the coaches to introduce themselves to you guys once more.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure being here, Alex. My name is Neftali Franco. I've been with the Pivot Experience for a little bit over a year and a half now. I'm super passionate about helping people, being able to connect with other individuals, different backgrounds, and be able to pursue their goals that they have and be able to help them achieve the things that they want for their lives.
Yes, I'm Ashley Allison. I have the privilege of working at TPE for as well as a year and a half. I guess I specialize in focusing on younger entry-level leaders and having them connect within their leadership experience and help them propel forward in their leadership journey.
And my name is Javonna Roach. I have been working, I guess I was the first employee besides Alex, who is the owner or the founder for the Pivot Experience. I have actually been coaching for almost 3 years and coaching with TPE for a little over a year and a half. When you say you specialize, I guess my specialty is TDP applicants, LDP applicants, operator applicants, helping them with that interview process and really digging in to find their why. Why do they want to be a part of the Chick-fil-A brand? So that's kind of my focus. I do have some other clients though who are not TDP, LDP, or operator clients, and I love those clients as well. Just helping them really find their fit in their organization, in their role, and really pushing their role to what's next. I mean, I guess I can kick it off and say pivot into their next, since we are the Pivot Experience. So I'm excited to be on this podcast today and really excited to hang out with these other coaches who I also call my awesome friends.
Yeah. And I think, and just before we move on from introductions, there's another coach here by the name of Abram. He is not able to join us today because he had a family emergency. So Abram, if you're listening, you're in our thoughts and prayers for sure for the things that you have going on. And so on today's episode, we're going to try to approach a topic that isn't always a fun topic to talk about, but it's the reality of some of our businesses that you guys are listening may be experiencing. We're going to be talking about navigating a down year as it relates to sales and profits, and how can you as a leader continue to add value to your organization and really overcome those challenges that exist in your restaurants. And in my 23 years, and Javonna, you might be able to echo this. Actually, Ashley and Neff, you guys can probably echo this as well. We haven't really seen many years of downswings in terms of sales percentages. Really after COVID, things seem to be spiking up a little bit and then starting to level off. And I think for us being so accustomed to every year running 5 to 10 to 15% increases, this is something that's foreign to all of us. This is something that we're all having to adjust ourselves and literally having to pivot on some things that we had planned to do in our organization, and things that we were pursuing. We had to change our lenses because the business is starting to demand that we do something different. And so today we want to just talk about a few things that involve how do you notice that, what are some indicators that you can see that your business is on a downward decline, and what are some of the things that you can do that are within your control to be able to manage those things. And I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. Have you, this is something we've never really seen before in our business, correct?
It's rough. It's a rough world out there. That's what I say right now. Like, it's pretty. I think one thing that I've been thinking about a lot when it comes to like this topic of like navigating the storm, like, navigating different changes in business. I've been thinking a lot about how we have to lead in the here and now and not like the dream of what we want it to be. Because, always our hopes and our dreams are just like, man, if sales were just there, we could do this, we could do that, we could, offer this benefit, but we actually have to accept where we are in reality of where we're at and really push towards what are the things that truly matter in these seasons. So I think it's a really good season too, to just evaluate your business as a whole and go, okay, what are the things that like make us us? We don't want to get rid of those. But we want to really focus on pushing ourselves to evaluate the business and what really matters. And I think that is kind of the times that we're in.
No, I would definitely agree. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I agree. I think this, is the first year that we don't see like a 10% increase year over year. And I think when you're so used to having those increases, it's so much easier to motivate a team, especially a team of young individuals. Hey, like, we're killing it, guys. We have a 10% sales increase year over year. Keep up the great work. But now we're seeing 1%, 2%, on a good day, 3%. And it's like those numbers might not be as appealing it is than the larger numbers of sales increase. So definitely a change of how, even I would say, my way of motivating the team, it looks different nowadays as well. But I would definitely agree with what Javonna says, like learning to get back to the basics, right? I think she mentioned like cutting down costs, like what is your store's priority of, benefits or even things that you would like to splurge on, but also too is like the guest team behavior, getting back to the basics and making sure like you're checking the basics box before you go see on Facebook or a Facebook group, oh, that looks cool, and try to implement it everything at once, right? Because I know I can be guilty of that when, I was a younger leader. Everything looks cool. And there is a season where you can try a million things at once. But in these seasons, like, you have to really be picky about what you want to invest in at your restaurant.
No, I definitely think you hit the nail on the head, and I'll get to you, Neff. I know it looked like you had something you want to say, but it's easy to communicate when things are going good. Like when the good times are rolling, the notifications going, you're looking at your phone, you see all green on every metric that you normally look at. Now you're starting to see a healthy amount of red, and you're apprehensive and wanting to communicate, that we aren't excelling at a rate that we used to. So I'm so glad you brought that up, Neff.
Yeah, I think it's hard to come to terms with what reality is when it's a different reality that we used to experience for several years, year after year. And I think we can sometimes be hopeful and say, well, like, let's hope we do this, or let's hope we hit this metric, or let's hope for this. But hope is never a good strategy for success. And so I think we have to really analyze our business and, like Javon said, choose the things that make up what your business should be or what you want it to be, and invest in those things and learn to be okay with the results that we're going to get because of the season that we're in, but have a good plan on the things that you want to invest in whenever the time comes, whenever we have those sales, when those things in business start going up.
Yeah, and so I think I hear a theme between all the answers, and I think we'll start there. Like, if you do notice a decline, and I think everybody said analyze their business, and so whatever it means you use to do that. what are some of the things that you hold fast to in the business that are non-negotiables, as far as like, okay, we'll cut back on X, Y, and Z, but we can't stop doing A, B, and C?
Ashley, I saw your face perk up. I know you want to answer that question.
No, I mean, I think that's can be hard depending on like the different location. And I know every store, whether it's a restaurant or another business, every team's going to be different, right? I think one thing that we have seen a true benefit of a return on our investment is investing in those teamer events, like those times away from the restaurant where the team gets to know each other. Like even I'll put myself out there. Like I had the opportunity to go to one of our teams. Every month we put on a birthday dinner, right? And so taking time away from the restaurant, getting to have that face-to-face conversation, pour into people not only their passions inside the restaurant, but also outside the restaurant, you see that return on investment because they're going to be more bought into your vision to help support you on shift. And then also too, they're going to take that feedback and tell their friends. So then you get new, great team members on your team who are bought into that vision of yours, and they're going to be the best selling point you can have. It's like team members who know the vision, executing the vision. And so I think that's one thing that I will have to say, like the last thing to go is like just a team, that face-to-face interaction as well. Another thing that I think we have seen a large return on investment is providing free health care to our team. There's lots of moms and dads out there who didn't have that as a benefit before. And we have seen this flu is going crazy right now. COVID numbers are spiking up. So like they have the opportunity to get that medicine that they need for their team. And I think that's just truly, brings joy to my heart as a leader. So I think those two things, if I'm talking about for my team members, I would not like to cut.
Well, I'm gonna give a plug on that. So direct to care is what she's talking about. And I think I met Josh Alquist, is the guy who is like the rep for direct to care, but it's a company that provides free doctor's visits for your team. Now it's not free. Obviously, the owner is paying a fee. We're paying a fee for those doctor's visits, but I've also seen, I actually got our 3-month usage numbers, and I did the math on it today, and it's paid for itself. But I'm giving a plug for direct to care because I think it's something that literally every single team member that you have can use. And so, but I'm gonna kind of go a little bit off that too, Ashley. I was thinking about just like making sure that you use like your purpose, your mission, your employer brand statement, your values, whatever those are, as your filter for the things that you continue. And so it's kind of that start, stop, keep doing that you evaluate, especially in these times. But I mean, I would always say in any business, like let the core of who you are as a business, your values, your purpose, your mission, be the filter for the things that you start, stop, and keep doing. Don't let times dictate who you want to be in the future. Like business, Simon Sinek, one of my favorite, authors, podcasters, video people, whatever you want to call them, leadership gurus, I guess is what they say. Like he talks about the infinite game of business, and like we can't always make decisions just based on today and tomorrow and the next day. Like we have to be looking at what the infinite game looks like in business, because it is an infinite game. It's not a race, it's a marathon. Like we're going to look back 20 years from now and just want to be able to say that we stayed true to who we were, even in the hard times. So I think taking that purpose statement, that vision, that mission, those values, and really saying like, is this who we are? Is this who we want to be 10 years from now, 15 years from now? And are the decisions we're making today going to affect that 100%? And so I think just always staying true to who you want to be.
Yeah, I think most definitely when you talk about the organization that we serve outside of TPE, it talks about, our shared vision is being the world's most caring company. And I love the fact that you guys led with people-driven initiatives. We could have jumped right into the nuts and bolts of business, right? The things the numbers, but you guys prioritize people, in which I think that also speaks to the fact that we always say we're in the people business, not the chicken business. And so I love the fact that you guys brought that up first. And I guess I was going to just piggyback on how you guys prioritize direct to care. Like they may not be something that is the most exciting, but when you need it, it is something that's important. It is something that is a priority, and so I definitely love that. Neff, did you have anything to add there? No,
not for the director care.
Okay, no, just generally to in terms of what would you?
I think sometimes we can easily skip out on or say, hey, we'll push back is development of team members or leadership development. I think it's something easy to say, well, like it's an investment, so we're just not going to do it right now. But that's the investment you need to make so that when the downtime is over and we're busy, you have people there to support the incoming growth that's coming into your business. And so I think it's super important that we don't look at those things as a burden or as an expense that we can't afford, when those are the things that are going to get us to the next level.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think even too, as you grow your team become more productive, so you get that return on investment with that as well.
Yeah. No, I love that, because I think one of the things that I was going to, I guess, speak to, and I think this is going to open up a broader conversation, is, when sales are lower, you have less budget for labor, right? You have less hours to allocate towards wages. You have less that you can forward into that bucket. And so I think making sure that you prioritize development and you prioritize, the core incentives to keep the team engaged. Because one of the things I've always thought about as it relates to what we do at Chick-fil-A is typically we're asking our team members to do more work than they would at a competitor or a different lane, a different type of business, but with the same, comparable wages or comparable style of work. And a lot of the things that I felt like that would help us keep team members engaged was, we do all of the fun stuff, all the frills, all the bells and whistles. But as you have to kind of pull back a little bit, not saying that you're not doing any of those things at all, but when you start to pull back a little bit and you're still expecting the team member to do work and you're providing less team members around them to do the work. So so if we continue to prioritize the things that you guys are bringing up, I definitely think that would be that would help keep them encouraged in doing the work, even though there's less people around them. So I love that. Any thoughts around labor management through a down season? Since I know that, and for you guys listening, I'll say maybe internally we might have at once upon a time had some difference of opinion, to say the least. But I do believe that we all have a really good perspective on labor. So I would love to hear you guys. How are y'all navigating labor, and maybe what are some of the tools that you guys are using to help guide you in that area of labor?
I'm gonna let Neff speak up on this question, because I've trained him in our labor ways, and now he's taken over labor. So you speak to that, Neff.
I mean, I'm sure many stores have very different tools that they use for labor, and I think every store, they have people that just love to be in the sheets, making different formulas and all these things. And I think it's good for you to really analyze all the numbers that go into labor. And I think sometimes we don't take time to really dig in where those hours are going, where the money's going. And what often happens is we end up, most of the time, operations is the first one to kind of get cut. We're like, oh, we just got to cut some hours. And the team feels it. And you just talk to, there's less people, like it's more stressful. And I don't think that's always got to be the first option for us to reach into, but it is when we don't have a clear vision of where our labor is going. We don't know fully where we're spending money on. And so I think just really digging down and looking how much overhead you have, how much training you have going on, what non-operational hours you have for the directors that you have, or whatever leadership positions you have in your business. What is the return on investment in those hours that you're giving those people? I think there's just a lot of analyzing that somebody's got to do in the business in order to know where you're going to go, where you're headed, what your average wage is. Is that average wage going to take you to where you want to go financially? What does the result look like? If you're not happy with the result, what are the changes that we can make? What are the controllable things that we can control, whether that's cutting overtime, whether that's making sure we have more part-time staff than full-time staff. There's a lot of things that are in our control, but there's also things that are not in our control. And I think when you know where every dollar is going and when it comes to labor, it's easy to control those controllables. But when you don't have a clear picture of what you're spending, it becomes really difficult, and it can be really overwhelming when you are getting a result that you're not happy with and you don't even know how to get it down. And so I think having a clear picture has given us clarity in where we need to go, what we need to do, where we need to schedule, the things that we can't control, what do we need to change to be able to reach the goal that we have. And it's not this overwhelming thing. It's now like we can see 3 months from now where we're going to be, and we know that we're going to be okay with that result.
No, that's a great response, and I guess I want to just zoom in a little bit more in this, but I don't know if this is too micro, but getting familiar with where the decreases are happening in your business is very important. And on top of that, for whoever is doing your scheduling, for them to understand that, I'll just say this, most traditional schedule makers, you guys know this, they probably make the schedule out in core shifts. You got open to 2 to close, you got your swing 11 to 7, and then you got your 5 to close, right? And typically, a lot of times, schedulers are bringing in everybody at the same time. They're all getting off at the same time. They're all, that same cadence of scheduling. And I think that in this particular season, you really got to start to drill into, do you need everybody? I'm just using this as an example. Do you need everybody in the store from 11 to 12 that you need for 12 to 1? Do you have an opportunity to stagger people into the shift and then stagger them out rather than everybody getting off at 2? Is it slower between 1 and 2 than it is from 12 to 1? And so sometimes these seasons require you to really hone in on exactly where your decreases are coming from. In some instances, your sales volume might be the same for lunch, but then your breakfast is weaker or your afternoon is weaker. And so when you're communicating these things, particularly depending on where you are in the organization, right? For us, I think we sit at the top of the organization. And so we're looking at those things. How well are you communicating exactly where those labor dollars need to be spent and where they need to be infused into the business? But I think you guys can speak to this. Y'all just recently went through a remodel or reopening, and the flow of traffic in your restaurant in terms of guest transaction count could be different than what it was before you guys closed. And so listening to your night leadership and then really bridging an opportunity for them to learn about the business. True story, real example. I had a leader approach me yesterday or day before yesterday. And I'm gonna just give you a real example. They asked for a moment to talk. I said, sure, let's have a conversation. You see, they asked said, hey, can we get one more person between 7 and 8? Because it was really rough on the inside, and I think we just need another person. I could have taken that information if I was in a rush. So if I didn't, I said, oh sure, I'll just add another person. And then I told them, I said, well, let's look at the numbers. Okay. If you had issues with managing dining room, let's see how many transactions happened during that time. And once we had a conversation about the reality of, hey, I understand what you felt, right? But then let's look at the numbers, and then let's look at how many people that were scheduled. Is it a matter of enough people being scheduled or how they're being managed? And I think so. There's a lot of opportunities when you're getting that feedback from other leaders and other managers. And if you're dialed into what's going on in your business, you can really, because I truly believe, well, we'll see if this is coming to fruition, but I believe that moment with me and that leader was a good learning. It's a teachable moment for her. She because we had a great conversation about, well, what were you doing with the drivers, because the drivers only had X amount of orders during that time. Well, what were you doing with these individuals, because we only had 17 transactions on the inside, and you had these people in place. Why couldn't you get that done given these parameters? And I think a lot of times, particularly in our business, we are not so number forward. Us at the top, we're entrenched in it, but as you continue to go further down the hierarchy, that intimacy with the numbers starts to fade, and so they're more geared towards running things off of emotion. And so in these seasons, you're going to find times where your knowledge in particular, where as it relates to the numbers in the business, you're going to get an opportunity to really bridge those gaps. And then plus, once you get past this season, they're going to be more valuable because they're going to understand a whole lot more about the business. And so when it does increase, they'll be able to say, hey, I know we did X amount of transactions, 6 weeks ago from this hour, but that has grown by X%. And so now it justifies us being able to spend in that area. And so I definitely think that there is some benefit, even though we don't want to hear sales being down as a benefit, but I think it challenges us as higher leadership to really dig in deeper with our other leaders to be able to teach and coach them on certain things.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your friend, Pastor John R. Adolph from the Antioch Church in Beaumont, Texas. And I just want to slip this in right quick so you'll never forget. It's all about progress over perfection here at TPE.
Tap into the Pivot Experience, where we help young, hungry entrepreneurs move on to the next step.